Don't let appearances deceive you. Vin Diesel is much more than just the macho man who's been dominating our screens for 20 years. He's an intriguing person full of mystery and has gone on an incredibly wild journey to get where he is today. We'll explore the rough ride it took to starring in the Fast and Furious and XXX series. We'll track his amazing journey, looking at his wonderful family, his friendship with the late Paul Walker, and of course, his epic beef with Dwayne The Rock Jonhson. It's New York in the 1970s, and Crystal Field is the artistic director for the theater for the new city. She spots some kids sneaking into the building and confronts them. Leading the group is a cheeky 7-year-old boy who tells her that they're not going to attack her, but are going to vandalize the place and tear up the walls. Field decides to call the cops, but thinks again. She thinks to herself, what kind of a 7-year-old uses the word vandalize? She decides instead to cast them in an upcoming play. The bratty leader of the pack that day was Mark Sinclair, who is better known today as Vin Diesel. This is the story behind his amazing rise to success. Vin Diesel grew up in New York but was born in Alameda County, California in 1967. His family later moved to New York and consisted of his mother, twin brother, and stepfather. Diesel sadly has never met his biological father, but his stepfather raised him and his brother as his own. In fact, the word step isn't even used between the two anymore and are simply father and son. He also enjoys a great relationship with his twin brother, who he refers to as Brother Pablo. They're not identical twins, however, and Paul even has a full head of hair. His mother was an astrologer who refused to do his chart. In an interview with USA Today, Diesel said, "She said she was too close to me to do an unbiased chart." His stepfather was a theater manager and helped Diesel with some acting roles early on too. Towards his teens, New York was an incredibly exciting place to be growing up. It was the beginning of a relatively unknown form of music called hip-hop, and Diesel learned how to breakdance and pop it and lock it. There's even an instructional video of him explaining how to do some dance moves. He even had to go at rapping. But let's just say he's a lot better at acting. Believe it or not, the rapper Kwame is even Vin Diesel's cousin and had hits in the early 90s such as The Rhythm and One of the Big Boys. In 2017, Diesel would release his own pop single Feel Like I Do under his own record label, Racetrack Records. But again, he's probably better off sticking to acting. At the age of 17, Diesel decided to hit the gym and began working on those huge muscles we're incredibly familiar with today. He even revealed once that he has dubbed his biceps the Kryptonics, after a brand of skateboarding wheels. This was when Mark Sinclair transformed into Vin Diesel. Despite being only 17, Diesel got big and buffed pretty fast. He was big enough to work as a nightclub bouncer, and this is where he picked up the name Vin Diesel. Apparently, he chose this name because it sounded more intimidating. This is where he also developed his menacing stare. So working outside nightclubs in New York accidentally gave him plenty of experience for his tough guy roles later on. His stepfather encouraged him to study acting, and he attended NYU to study English and attend acting classes. He also starred in some off Broadway productions. But this wasn't enough. He moved to LA, determined to make it in acting. His time starting off in Hollywood was tough, to say the least. By 1990, the only role he received was an uncredited role in Awakenings. There is also footage of him from 1994 at a toy fair promoting Street Sharks, a set of shark-inspired action figures. By 1995, Diesel had packed it all in and moved back to New York. Not wanting her son to give up, Vin Diesel's mother handed him a book. It was called Feature Film Making at Used Car Prices and shows you how to write, produce, direct, edit, and promote a feature film for $6,000. Eventually, he made a short movie called Multifacial. It's about a biracial actor struggling to get roles, which was drawn from his past experiences. People of color in Hollywood are rarely given starring roles and are often defined by their skin color rather than their acting ability. The film ends with a rather poignant line, "My father was a black actor, but he wants to go one step further and be an actor. Just an actor." To Diesel's shock and surprise, this film made major waves. It even got selected for the 1995 Cannes Film Festival. It was here where a certain Steven Spielberg caught hold of the movie and was impressed. He decided to give him a role in Saving Private Ryan, and Diesel even got to direct some minor sequences. He had gotten his big break, and life would never be the same again. Shortly after starring in Saving Private Ryan, his co-star went to visit him in LA. He noticed that Diesel had compiled a list of famous actors who were his age but more successful. He had planned to overtake them all. Multifacial talked about Diesel's difficulty with being a person of color in Hollywood, but Diesel was now celebrated for being different. The presence of a bald, muscular, biracial man, together with his signature low and raspy voice, really made him stand out. In fact, his voice would get him a lot of voice acting work. He starred in the animated movie The Iron Giant in 1999. While he enjoyed a great relationship with Spielberg, other directors did not share the same experience. In 1999, he was also fired by director John Frankenheimer from the movie Reindeer Games. They apparently got into creative disputes, and Frankenheimer eventually said, "Frankly, Vin, I'm too old, too busy, and too fucking rich to worry about your character." Ben Affleck was the star of Reindeer Games, but Diesel also got to work with Affleck that year in the critically acclaimed Boiler Room. It was in 2000 that Diesel was finally given a lead role in the movie Pitch Black, where he played a soldier turned criminal named Richard B. Riddick, a role he returned to many times. He finally wasn't a black or biracial actor, he was simply an actor. It was in 2001 that Vin Diesel was properly catapulted into stardom and became a household name. This was Diesel's first role, the very first Fast and Furious movie, a franchise that would elevate him to previously unimagined levels of stardom. His performance as the street racer Dominic Toretto proved a major hit at the box office and grossed $145 million in the US alone. Soon after, he starred in the thriller XXX, which broke box office records and proved that the success of the Fast and Furious was no fluke. Diesel was going to be a long and lasting star in Hollywood. It was here where Diesel enjoyed a special bromance with co-star Paul Walker. The duo even visited an illegal street rally to prepare for the role, and half an hour later found themselves running away from police helicopters. They later joked that they had maybe done a little bit too much research. It was also while working in the Fast and Furious that he began dating co-star Michelle Rodriguez. But this was short-lived. She began dating fellow Hollywood star Colin Farrell a year later. Piecing together Diesel's personal life is a difficult task, as Diesel's very committed to keeping his private life private. He famously said, "I'm not going to put it out there on a magazine cover like some other actors. I come from the Harrison Ford, Marlon Brando, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino code." Apparently, he preferred dating in Europe, where he was less likely to be recognized. 2005 saw him break into comedy with The Pacifier, where he plays a Navy SEAL assigned to look after a baby. It was a similar career path as Arnold Schwarzenegger in Kindergarten Cop, where after painting him as the macho tough guy, it was fun to place them in more sensitive or feminine situations. He also starred in the comedy movie Find Me Guilty and really demonstrated that he has some real comedic chops. Diesel soon shocked everyone in 2003 by not appearing in Too Fast, Too Furious, feeling a sequel would spoil the first picture. However, in 2006, he decided to star in the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. To perform in this movie, he wasn't paid in cash. Instead, they gave him the rights to use the character Richard B. Riddick, who he would go on to play in 2 future movies. While everyone knows Diesel from the movie world, he does have other passions. Spielberg and Diesel particularly bonded over their love for video games. The fact that Spielberg was involved with video games inspired him to set up his own video game company, launching Tygot in 2002. In an interview, Diesel said, "When I realized Steven Spielberg was entering the game world unabashedly, somehow that gave me the green card to launch a video game company that would speak to a favorite pastime, or one of my favorite pastimes." Another incredibly nerdy passion is his love of Dungeons and Dragons. He even wrote the foreword to the 2004 book, 30 Years of Adventure, a celebration of Dungeons and Dragons. His D&D character is named Melkor Tar Morloth, which he derived from J.R.R. Tolkien's book, The Silmarillion. He can even be seen sporting a fake Melkor tattoo across his stomach in the first XXX movie. His 2015 movie, The Last Witch Hunter, is loosely inspired by the character of Melkor. Since he's such a big fan of fantasy, Diesel was asked if he liked Game of Thrones. Diesel simply responded that he does not watch TV, at all. Diesel is also a bit of a social media addict. While other movie stars hire marketing and PR people to run their accounts, Diesel posts regularly on his profiles and often shares videos of himself singing and dancing. He even sent one ambiguous post suggesting he believes in chemtrails, but the authenticity of his social media presence has made him incredibly popular. He has 99 million likes on Facebook, and only Shakira and Cristiano Ronaldo have more than him. It was in 2007 that Diesel met the love of his life, the Mexican model Paloma Jimenez. As you can imagine, Diesel had his fair share of ladies queuing up to date him, but it was Jimenez who really stole his heart. The couple has been together since then, and a big part of their long-lasting relationship has been to keep it private, so there's not much we know about these two. What we do know is that they have 3 children together, with the first was born in 2008 while filming The Pacifier. Diesel was regularly working with young kids and knew he wanted to be a father. He told Parade magazine, "Working with babies on this set for so long, it really started to bring out this desire to have a child. And it took a couple of years after that to find the right person and to hopefully be mature enough to be a great father, which is really all you want to do." It became clear with the arrival of his kids that beneath his tough exterior was a soft and a gooey center. Following the birth of his first child, his priorities suddenly changed and his life was now centered upon his new family. He also told Parade, "Someone once told me, when you have a child, it opens up parts of your heart you never knew existed." And it's so true. It's like you have a child and you think, everything that I've done until this point is insignificant in comparison to being a father. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. His daughter, Hania, was born in 2008. 2 years later, he had a son, Vincent, named after his old man. But Diesel didn't hang up his boots and become a full-time dad. He returned to the Fast and Furious franchise, starring in its 5th installment in 2011. This particular movie really brought the franchise back to life, particularly with the inclusion of Dwayne The Rock Jonhson to the cast. Diesel and Johnson starred together again in Fast and Furious 6 in 2013. 2013 also saw the release of Riddick, another movie from his Pitch Black character. Diesel was so passionate about making that movie that he leveraged his house to fund it. It seemed like never-ending success for Diesel until an unexpected tragedy happened. In November 2013, his co-star and best friend Paul Walker was in the passenger seat of a red Porsche Carrera GT. It was driven by Walker's friend, Roger Radas, who began driving at 100 miles an hour. He suddenly lost control of the vehicle and crashed into a tree. The force of the crash was so powerful that the car was suddenly engulfed in flames. Both Radas and Walker were killed. Diesel's best friend was gone. Diesel got on the first plane back to California and was extremely concerned about his young daughter, Meadow. Speaking on The Jonathan Ross Show, Diesel said, "You spend 15 years going from being nobody to somebody with a brother, and one day he's gone. It's a heavy experience. Somehow this is different than all the other losses I've ever had." 2 years later, Diesel had another baby girl and decided to name her Pauline after Paul. Diesel was back doing what he does best and starred in The Fate of the Furious in 2016. Things were not incredibly rosy during this production, however, as Diesel soon fell out with his co-star Dwayne The Rock Jonhson. In fact, tension had been bubbling up between the two for years, but The Rock decided enough was enough and broke his silence. The Rock posted on Instagram, "Some conduct themselves as stand-up men and true professionals, while others don't. The ones that don't are too chicken shit to do anything about it anyway. candy asses. When you watch this movie next April and it seems like I'm not acting in some of these scenes and my blood is legit boiling, you're right. He deleted this post and someone backed down on this with another post. In another, he said, "I was raised on healthy conflict and welcome it, and like any family, we get better from it." Diesel was also producing alongside acting in the Fast and the Furious movies. Vin Diesel has said that he used a lot of tough love on set to get the movie at the standard it needed to be. Clearly, this behavior created tension between the two. Ahead of the film's release, Diesel tried to calm things down. He told USA Today, "I think some things may be blown out of proportion. I don't think that was his intention. I know he appreciates how much I work this franchise. In my house, he's Uncle Dwayne." In 2021, Diesel set the beef all right once again. On Instagram, he posted, "My little brother Dwayne, the time has come. The world awaits the finale of Fast 10. As you know, my children refer to you as Uncle Dwayne in my house. There is not a holiday that goes by that they and you don't send well wishes. But the time has come. Legacy awaits." While at surface value this looks like a nice post, The Rock read something else into it. He found it very manipulative by bringing up his kids and had privately told him months earlier that he didn't want to be involved in any further Fast and Furious movies. According to The Rock, Vin's recent public post was an example of his manipulation. "I didn't like that he brought up his children in the post as well as Paul Walker's death. Leave them out of it. We had spoken months ago about this and came to a clear understanding." So, 5 years on from the initial beef, it looks like the tensions between these two action heroes aren't going away anytime soon. Over time, Diesel and Walker's family have become closer. Diesel, after all, is the child of a stepfather and knows the importance of filling in that gap in a child's life. In July 2021, Meadow made a cameo appearance in the 9th installment of The Fast and the Furious. In an interview with Extra, Diesel said, "She's the first person on Father's Day to wish me Happy Father's Day. To see her with my children is one of the most beautiful things. There are moments when I see her playing with Pauline and it hits me so deep because I can only imagine what my brother sees when he sees that." But the most heartwarming moment of all was in October 2021 when Diesel walked Meadow down the aisle at her October 22nd wedding. This is clearly the beginning of a newer and more joyous chapter for Vin Diesel. And with new Fast and Furious and XXX movies in production, expect to see him at your cinema soon.